Hello everybody, this is Linda and I am back with my promised tutorial for you. I've made a tutorial on this mixed media mosaic, and before I start I just wanted to say that even though I have done mine this way, you can of course do it however you want. This is first and foremost a tutorial to show you how I make my tiles and how I work with my mosaics. So I have used canvas board as my base. You can use wood, you can use like plywood or some kind of heavyweight cardstock, or you can use a box. I have done a box before. You can, whatever. You can decorate whatever with these tiles. And I have made all my tiles this time out of chipboard. And I have used like medium weight chipboard. And if you don't have medium weight chipboard, you can use like cereal boxes. You can just double layer or triple layer them until you get them the thickness that you want to use. I have used some die cuts to embellish my tiles. I have used masking tape, Japanese masking tape. I have used paint. I have used ink, stamps, pieces of torn paper, I think, as well, and some images. These are free downloads from the internet, and these words are just printed letters. And yeah, you don't need any particular glue or any particular paint or mediums or whatever. You need to use what you have and or what you want to use. I have used Mod Podge and some gel mediums. You can, if you have any kind of a gel medium, will be nice. If it's Mod Podge, if it's more heavy gel, doesn't matter. It will work fine for this project. If you don't have masking tape, you can of course make your own masking tape if you want to, or you can just use something else. Use stamps, okay? If you stamp on tissue paper, that will look much like masking tape anyhow, and you can just glue that down to your pages with gel, or not pages, glue that down to your tiles with gel medium. So what kind of stamps I used? I used the stamps I have. Use the stamps you have. Okay, there is no need to, and use scraps of paper. It's perfect for these projects. I've used aluminum foil tape, and if you don't have aluminum foil tape, which you can buy fairly cheap at a hardware store, then you can just use aluminum foil and just glue it to your tiles, okay? I've used paint dauber, or actually two. I've used one gold and one black. If you don't have paint daubers, just use regular paint or use a pen to edge your tiles, or don't edge your tiles if you don't like that look. I have used some double-sided tape. You can use any kind of double-sided tape. If you use score tape or whatever, the only thing you have to remember is if you're going to heat your tiles in any way, then be careful if you use double-sided tape, unless you use the kind that can take the heat. If you stamp, then use StazOn or some kind of permanent ink to stamp with, because you are going to be probably be using gesso or other stuff over your stamped images, and if you stamp with like distress inks and stuff, they will smear. Okay, you can use distress ink. I have used distress ink on these tiles with green here, but that was just to add color, and that was towards the end of the process when I wasn't, afraid of making any mistakes with the ink smearing and stuff. Just remember, have fun making tiles, have fun doing your projects. Play and use what you have and create some wonderful mixed media mosaics. And if you do create a mosaic, I would really love if you would link it to this video. doing a video response so that I myself and other people can see what you've created using this technique. So let's just, inspire each other and have some fun. So let's get started. I've decided to use this white canvas board as my base, and I want to create a heart as my focal point. So what I did to create this heart is just draw on a piece of paper half of the heart and just fold it in two and cut around it. So very easy. You can use any kind of focal point that you want. Maybe if you got like a favorite ATC artist trading card or something that you want on display, then you can use that as a centerpiece, or you can just make your own. So what I want to do now is just cut chipboard to size and start decorating it. It's a really nice way to use your scraps. So I'll just Mod Podge it down to this piece of heavyweight chipboard, or medium weight, I think it is. And let's just find the mod. I'll be using matte Mod Podge. I want this piece to have sort of a vintage look to it. So matte will suit me fine, and then I'll just make some glossy tiles just for variation. And make sure to squeeze out air bubbles. When you work with these mixed media mosaics, you can sort of make it easy on yourself and just, use a ready image from a piece of scrap paper or a download from the internet or whatever to create your pieces. Or you can do some layering and use some mixed media techniques. And I do that. That's why I've called this mixed media mosaics, because I like to do some stamping, some inking, some painting, and use different elements like lace, masking tape, and stuff. This process is, waiting for things to dry. So that's why we have to do, we can work on different parts of the project at the same time. So while I wait for this to dry, I can start creating some tiles. An image to go here. So I'm going to start by picking my image so that I know if it has colors or anything, then I will, coordinate the tiles that I create to match my center focal point. So just putting this aside, I'll just cut off this piece and put it to dry. I've got a little drawer filled with pre-cut images that I have downloaded. They're free downloads. There are a lot of different sites on the net where you can find these free downloads, and Flickr.com has got a lot of different groups that offers free downloads, and also Magic Moonlight Images is a great resource for downloading like vintage ephemera and images. And you can also buy images from like Lisa's Altered Art. She's got some beautiful babies and children, fairies, and yeah. So I chose this sweet image of a little girl holding a butterfly, and this is dry enough for me to just draw my heart. Sometimes I will edge all my tiles with black, but since I want to keep this shabby chic, I want to edge my tiles with gold this time. So I've got a gold paint dauber. You can use a gold pen or gold ink. Just make sure it's not the smearing kind, if it's not the last thing you put on your tile. And you can also use gold paint and just a paintbrush. You know, thinking if I want something to go behind her first, and I do actually. And I want to use some masking tape for that. And I've got some Japanese masking tape. I know Tim Holtz has got tissue tapes and stuff that are really cool to use as well, but I get most of my masking tape from Pretty Tape on Etsy, and I'll put the link to that shop in the description box in case you, but you can search for it. You know, I know that there are a lot of sellers for this. So see, kind of nice. And then before I just glue her down here, I also want some gesso. So I'm not promoting any particular brand. Of course, we all get our favorites. You know, when you've been working with mixed media or whatever for a while, you tend to get your favorite papers, your favorite paints. But I don't have any favorite gesso. I just use gesso. And this Claudine Helmut gesso bottle, but there is regular cheap brand gesso inside, and it works perfectly. So I just like this container. You know, that's why I've kept it. So there was Claudine Helmut, but that's a long time ago. And now, of course, you don't have to use your fingers. You can use brushes, people, but I don't know. I like getting my fingers dirty, and I just like touching what I'm making. So now I've toned down the whole music thing, and I just want also a little bit of white gesso down here, just a little, like so. Okay, that's fine. And now just dry it. I'm going to Mod Podge this image onto the heart. When I've got an even coat, I just leave it to dry. When it's dry, I'm going to cut off the excess of the image here. The good thing about doing Mod Podge over the top of the image is that if you want to play some more with like gesso or paints or whatever, it will protect the image, so that if you get like gesso somewhere that you don't want it or too much, you can wipe it off with like a baby wipe or with wet cloth, or you know, just a napkin, whatever suits you. So, and I'm a bit careful with my heat gun on top of papers and images so that it won't bubble up, but a little bit can take. I just want to, you know, give her a light coating with gesso. And this time I'm going to use a paintbrush. You see, I just dip it ever so slightly and just go over the image like so. And now I'll do what I was talking about, but so then I can use the wet one and just get her face and the little butterfly clearer. And you see there is still some gesso around the edges, and I'll just bring it in a little bit more. Okay, to her hair, and yeah, like so. Gives it a nice soft look. And as you can see, my image is cut off down here, so I want something to go here. But I'm thinking I might just, you know, do a word here that comes up the side or something. So I don't know quite yet what I'm going to do, or do a flower or a butterfly, whatever. So in the meantime, I have the size now, so it's not that important to know already how the finished look is going to be, because I'm like that. I don't necessarily work like the whole thing finished at once. So now we'll start working on some tiles to match this. And so what do you see here? When I want to match this, I can use like light blue tones. I can use a little of red, or like a cream color, or a peachy color for her skin, or a brown color. So I've got some possibilities to match this. And I could also bring some more color into this tile by painting some, or whatever. So we'll see as we go along. I have a tutorial for art tiles like these. And these art tiles are made out of wooden, like Scrabble tiles. And of course you can, you know, do your tiles individually. You can make all the tiles the same size, whatever. I like to make a variation of sizes and shapes and stuff. So and to save myself some time, and also to get my tiles to coordinate, I can make like a bigger piece and cut it as I go along to assemble my mosaic. And that's what I'm going to do now. And I want to use some old book paper for this. So I just tore some paper out of a book that I use for this. So again, we do the same as when we adhered the image and the other paper. So this is sort of the basics of making tiles out of chipboard. And you just need some kind of, you can use Mod Podge, you can use gel medium, you can use any kind of, you know, glue to just glue your paper down. I prefer the liquid glue because that allows me to, you know, cover the top as well. Of course, if you just gluing paper and you don't want to do as much painting and stuff to the paper, then you can just use like double-sided tape, or, you know, any kind of glue to glue down your paper. But the minute you want to, you know, paint on top of it and stuff, then it's good to coat it with some kind of Mod Podge or gel medium. And it doesn't matter if it's like a heavy gel or a soft gel, as long as it's just some kind of glue medium to cover your page. Okay, so that's that. And just try to, you know, squeeze out the air. You can use your fingers. You can use a brayer, but then make sure to wash it because this is glue. Don't destroy your brayers. Okay, I think this is fine. And this, of course, needs to dry. I will just show you then some samples of other papers that I have glued down. I have glued this graphic 45 paper with keys, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a shine to it, so it is Mod Podged on top of this. So whenever I want a key and the colors match, I can just cut one out here. So I have sort of ready to go tiles. And this paper is from Tim Holtz, and perfect to make tiles. You see a lot of pattern, a lot of stuff going on. You can cut around these and make vintage collages. And it is a bit bent, but just bend it back, you know, and when you cut it, you're going to glue it anyway to this canvas board, and then it will lay flat on the board. I also have done this, and here you can see I have put some gesso on top to tone down the color. And just because it looks like this doesn't mean that, you know, this is done. I won't do anything else to it, because if I feel like it, I will just put on some masking tape to create the tile. I will paint some more on it or glue down an image, whatever, but this is the base. And I like to have different bases to work with. Like this, for example. This is a Nature's Garden Prima paper. It's from a 12 by 12 sheet, and you know, it's just perfect. It's got little birds and pattern to it, so you can just cut out and make tiles, and you know, use this as well. So that's the easiest way. You know, you get a ready to go tile just by gluing down some ephemera or beautiful scrapbooking paper, and use your scraps. Okay, just pull out the scraps and the colors that fit your project and use them. So I've just picked out some tissue tapes that I want to play with, and I also need some tiles to be like more colored, and let's see if we can bring in these colors here to some tiles. I just want to do some gesso here first. And I'm just covering roughly, because I like the texture that it gives when you don't cover it completely. And then this is pretty dry, so I can just, you know, brush lightly on top of this to just make some of the script fade out. And I just got some folk art antique copper paint. Ooh la la! I have not got some, I've got quite a lot. That's nice, I like that. Okay, so now for the masking tape, and I just do some over here too, because the kid on the image I'm using is holding a butterfly, so I thought that would be nice to add some of that. And I also want to use this stripey, and as you can see, because I'm cutting tiles out of this, I try to sort of keep it straight, so I keep it like horizontal or vertical. do some stamping too before I do the Mod Podge. So I got this stamp, it says postcard. It's a Tattered Angel stamp, and I'm using StazOn because StazOn doesn't smear once it's dry, because I'm going to Mod Podge over it. So now I'll just dry it a little, and then I'll Mod Podge it. So, Mod Podge. I'll just let that dry, and then I'll go over with some gesso. I also want some words on my mosaic, and I'm using Puddlebug embossing folders for this, and these have a lot of fun words like kissable, cute, silly, nice, happy, so on. And what I do is I just find a piece of cardstock, regular craft cardstock, and I'm going to cover it with some double-sided tape. Because I won't be painting this cardstock that much, because I'll, dry emboss it and then just rub some paint over it after. So that's why I can attach this to my chipboard with just double-sided tape, and that will stick just fine. Okay, just make sure that you get all the nice edges on your words. So now I'm just running it through my Big Shot. And of course I wasn't thinking, so I made a mistake. I want my words to be like popping up, the letters to pop up, and I ran it through my embossing folder the opposite way, so the words are like pointed, squished down, and when I have the double-sided tape on the back here, then what happens is I get them all backwards. So, stupid mistake. So don't do that. Check your embossing folder first, like I normally do, and then find where the letters are like popping, where you can feel the letters, and then put your cardstock so that the top of your cardstock faces up like this, and the tape faces down. The reason why I put tape on the back before I do the embossing thing is so that I don't have to push the tape down and then squish the embossing before I attach it to my chipboard. Okay, so let's do the right way. So I can feel the letters, and I'll just pop it in upside down, pop it in the right way, and then so now you can see it's embossed the correct way. So now you choose. Okay, I have done both. I have both, just glued the entire piece to chipboard, and then had to like cut my way through to find the words that I wanted. So I will just leave it like this, and I'll cut out the word that I want and use that. So let's see. Because I'm not quite sure if I can, manage to get the white. No, I will use a pen. You could use paint, but then it might be good to cover it with Mod Podge first, so that if you hit the wrong spots with paint, you can actually wipe it off. But I'm going to use a white gel pen, so I think I have a Sharpie somewhere. Normally I just run some rub and buff over it. I don't have white rub and buff. Don't know if it exists. I know silver does, so now this is dry and it's gesso time again. That's some color, that's some gesso, that's some shine. I like it. I have this piece of tile thing here that I have pre-made. And as you can see, I've done the same thing. I've just torn some paper, glued it down, added masking tape and stuff, and I'm going to do some gesso on top of this as well to tone it down a bit. So I'm thinking these are the colors that I'm going to use. But I'm wondering if I should bring in some green to this. And distress ink, because now I'm sort of done with all my stamping and stuff, and all of it is protected under a coat of Mod Podge. So I'll use this peeled paint. Just checking that I won't get gesso on my ink pad. Like so. Because the green goes very well with the copper, and it goes with the blue, so I think that's how I want it. And now I'll just dry this and we'll put some Mod Podge over it. See that the paintbrush now and the Mod Podge just smooths the ink out, but it's not like 100% even and boring, so still has interest. Okay. That's good. So I'm adding some Mod Podge to this too. And I'll just start cutting some tiles. And I freehand. You can use, if you have like a chipboard cutter, you can use that, or you can use like a craft knife, or we call them wallpaper knives in Norway, but I don't know what you call them. Maybe you call them the same thing. But just make sure you don't cut yourself. That's the most important thing. And that's why I also like to use my scissors. So I got this gold paint dabber. If you don't have a paint dabber, I like the dabbers because they give like a rough edge to it. But if you don't have one, then use what you have: a leafing pen, a gold pen, or gold paint or something. So I think this is going to be nice, but I really don't know if this is going to look good or not, but we'll see. This still needs to dry. So I just cut a few pieces out of this and this, and I've edged them with my gold dauber, and I felt that, you know, it was kind of flat, and I'm just like really into this like metal embossing thing right now. So I'll show you how to make pals like these. Okay, the way we do that is like so simple. You just take a piece of chipboard, like always, and then for the metal embossing, just pick a piece of paper that you don't like, grab your aluminum foil tape. This is cheap aluminum foil tape that you get from hardware stores and things like that, and you can use regular aluminum foil. Just glue it down to your paper, and just cover your paper in foil. Doesn't matter if it's a bit wrinkly because we're going to emboss it anyway. So now this is covered, and I will cover the back with double-sided tape, just like we did with the letters or words that we embossed. And now what's important is to put it the right side up in your embossing folder, and choose the embossing folder that you like to use. I want to use this script one. It's a Cuddlebug. So I want the words, or yeah, the script to pop. So I need to find the side where I can feel the letters, that it's not, you know, they're coming up. And then this way, the metal up, the tape down, and emboss. So let's just continue then to assemble this mosaic. And like I said, I like my pieces to be uneven. The only thing that I try to think about is to create balance with the colors of the tiles. So I need some more of this. So I'll just cut. And I don't care if it's not straight, because I can cut it straighter as I go. Okay, so I see I want a piece here, but I don't want a long one. I want a small one in there, and I want some green on it, so I'll just cut down here. And if you have made art tiles that match your project, you can use your art tiles. Okay, just use glass tiles if you have glass tiles, as long as things match, and use different objects. Just play. That's the important thing. And I don't glue anything down until I see that, yeah, this is like working for me, because I can change my mind 100 times with this. So it's better, you know, not to rush. Okay, so now I have made sure that all my pieces are edged with gold, and I'm quite happy with the placement, so I will start gluing things down. So I'm using my glue gun, and what I make sure is that my tile is placed up against the edges of my canvas board. I'm going to start with these corner pieces. And instead of grout that you would use in a normal mosaic, I just leave some space in between the tiles. So I want some more dimension to it. I just don't want to just pop it, like glue it down there. I just want it a bit up here. So I'll need some pieces of chipboard under, and I'll use some chipboard scraps for that. And of course, now I remembered what I was thinking before I glued this down, and that was that it would have been great to have a black edge around it because that would sort of make it pop more than just this gold is doing. So now I'm trying to figure, I think I have to loosen it, and that doesn't matter because so I just decided to add a little bit of masking tape down there to just finish it off, and then I need just a slight touch of gesso to tone it down, like so. So because of the nature theme, I just want to bring in some flowers and butterflies, I think. But I'm still not sure. Because I like it, the way it is as well. Hmm. Okay, so the die cuts that I'm using, they're from K and Company. Unbelievable. So I found another image that I want on this that will go with the sort of theme and the feeling that this gives me. So my idea is that she is remembering childhood and innocence. And I also want to just add some distress ink, vintage photo, not much, just a little to tone it down so it doesn't like scream white. Okay, so I'm thinking I have double sided tape, but I have this stuff. Woohoo! Okay, let's see. I don't think this glue is going to cut it, but we can try. Nothing wrong with trying. So breathe. It's here. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you've gotten some ideas on what to make. This, for instance, can be like the on top of a box, or I can frame it and hang it on the wall. So I'll see what I will do about it. Okay, so that's my piece. That's my mixed media mosaic. And as you have seen in my other previous videos about the mixed media mosaics, you can use like buttons, wood pieces, metal, whatever you do, just glue it down and yeah. So thank you so much for watching and have fun with your mixed media mosaics. And please, if you do make some, then it would be wonderful if you would just make a video response to this video so that even more people can get a chance to see what you've done and be inspired by you. So thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day and take care. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.